Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Christmas Eve. I'm Andrew Hansen alongside Shane Caldwell, and this is our wide receiver tight end show for Week 16 on the main slate. Shane, are you ready to get after it here with some pass catchers?
Yeah, we got some nice matchups for these wide receivers here. So there's looking like some really popular plays and like some guys that are superstars in great spots this week. So it's definitely going to be a good week for wide receivers and tight ends.
Absolutely. So we'll go down from most expensive to least expensive on the wide receivers. Then we're going to give you a tremendous offer from BetUS.com.pa that combines your love of DFS and sports betting. And then we'll go through the tight ends as well to get you ready for this main slate. And this is basically the last opportunity for a regular full slate. We know that week 17 is always crazy with injuries and teams sitting guys for the playoffs. So, let's take advantage of this opportunity here and get some receivers who are going to smash it, Shane. So where are you looking first?
Yeah, let's go to we're going to go to the high end again here. We're going to start with Tyree Kill. This guy's been lighting up the league all year in terms of mismatch and a guy that's difficult to cover, and pairing him with one of the best quarterbacks right now. You really can't beat it. And then you pair that with they're playing at home in a game they need to win to clinch the bye here for the to get the first seed. They're going against Atlanta, who's been exploited by in the slot all year. Tyree Kill lines up a lot in the slot. He'll be seeing Isaiah Oliver has been roasted all year pretty much. So we're talking huge big play upside here. Reminiscent of the game when Tyree Kill decided to get 3 touchdowns and 200 yards and a half. And this is the type of upside he has. So yeah, he's super expensive. He's $9,400 on FanDuel and $9,000 on DraftKings. But because of that type of upside and explosion in the matchup that he has, Tyree Kill's in play there. The only downside is they have a lot of weapons on that team, so other guys can score as well. But Tyree Kill is going to get the largest target share among the wide receivers and the most explosive and the best matchup here. And they have the highest implied total on the entire slate here. And I think that they might have to still pass a little bit in the second half. I think Atlanta will be able to score a little bit. So, yeah, definitely fire up Tyree Kill. It's just a matter of roster construction, but I think he's worth paying up for this week.
Yep, awesome spot for sure. If you want to save a little bit on DraftKings, you save $1,300 if you go down to Allen Robinson. And the Bears are playing Jacksonville. They're 27th against the pass this year. 7.5-point favorites on BetUS, over under 47. And you can beat the Jags all over the field, passing, running. But Robinson has been Trubisky's, favorite target, most trusted, decent chemistry. And maybe this will be the ceiling game for him in a prime matchup. And we saw guys like basically everybody they face off against, has had terrific success against them here recently. So I like the idea of getting Robinson as the number one target. Just got to get him in the end zone a couple times.
Yeah, and I like how he's it seems like it's been forever, but it's just like a revenge narrative game, going against his old team, or even if it's not revenge, it's kind of a reunion game when he's going back to the stadium he used to play at, the team that originally drafted him. He's going to want have a good game here. So
That's
you got
right.
that narrative.
Feels like forever ago.
I know, it seems like forever that he played for Jacksonville, but yeah, he had some good years there as well. So I like that. Yeah, let me go to back to the Kansas City game. If you're going to try to build some game stacks for the Atlanta-Kansas City game, it does become a little bit difficult because of the high prices. But if you are going to pay up and you think Atlanta can hang with them, then Calvin Ridley is a great target. Julio Jones is trending towards out again. Calvin Ridley had a monster game last week. He's going up against Kansas City. They're decent against wide receivers, but they can be beat. They get a little bit, if they get a big lead, sometimes they get a little bit lazy and can give up some big plays. So Calvin Ridley last week against a pretty decent Tampa Bay team goes 14 targets, catches 10 balls for 163 yards and a touchdown. And the week before that, he gets 8 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. So you see how solid he is without Julio Jones in there. And so this is a good spot here. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. Matt Ryan's looked pretty good of late, and I think they can score on Kansas City. They're going to have to keep pace here. So definitely Calvin Ridley's a guy that I think is worth paying up for, and you could build some game stacks here with this team, get exposure to some cheaper guys from Kansas City too and kind of stack it up. But, yeah, Calvin Ridley's looking like a great play this week again.
Yeah, that'll be fun if Atlanta can stick with them and get into a high scoring situation. All right, next for me, Keenan Allen. All right, and we're recording this on Thursday. He's questionable with the hamstring. If he goes against Denver, I like pairing him up with Herbert. You talk about a number one target. I mean, Herbert and Allen have been clicking for weeks now, and it's just the uncertainty because he only had those 3 targets against Las Vegas, 1 catch, and then he left, and he's obviously hampered. So if he plays, then you could go there and maybe get lower ownership because he's been banged up. Or if he's out, then all of a sudden we got to start looking at a value play of Tyron Johnson, only 4,000 on DraftKings. He looked great against Las Vegas. So one of those guys I'm going to be looking at come Sunday.
Yeah, and Denver's down to like their third string slot cornerback, so they're really weak in the slot. So if Keenan Allen's a full go, he's gonna have a really great matchup this week. Awesome. Yeah, let's go back to the Meadowlands here, and we'll go for the Cleveland Browns offense, who've been really hot lately in a great matchup against the New York Jets. And we're talking about Jarvis Landry here. Jarvis Landry's also been hot lately. Him and Baker Mayfield's had a great connection lately. Definitely love Jarvis Landry this week. And, I like how his price point is pretty reasonable over on FanDuel. 6,500 to me stood out as a price that's way too low for a guy that's getting this many targets. He's gotten, last 4 weeks, 11, 10, 9, 8 targets, scored a touchdown 3 out of the 4 games, and those were some of those games were a little bit more difficult matchups. This matchup against the New York Jets, banged up secondary, really they don't have much talent there, not much pass rush. So Jarvis Landry, I think, is due for a huge week, and this could be a big breakout game. And Cleveland really needs to win to keep pace with the playoff race and still have a chance to win their division potentially. So I look for Jarvis Landry to get involved often and early and have a monster game here.
Excellent. All right, the next guy I'm looking at, a similar PPR target, Cooper Kupp, 6,600 on DraftKings. The Rams are traveling to Seattle this week, and they're still 32nd in passing yards allowed for the season, over 300 per game. These teams met up earlier in the season with a little bit lower scoring, 23-16. Cooper Kupp had 5 for 50. But I think they need to, after that embarrassing loss to the Jets, they got to have this one. And in a game like this, you got to go to your best players. If you're going to go down again and lose your playoff positioning, you got to go down swinging. So it's time for Goff to get back to Kupp here. Pepper him with a bunch of targets. You can beat Seattle in the slot with a guy like Kupp. So I'll be on him this week.
Awesome. I think you can get him at lower ownership too, so that's going to be an even bigger bonus. And he is the type of player that's due for a big game. Here's a guy that I think could also be due for a big game. And I really want exposure to the Kansas City offense, so looking for a little bit more value exposure. And Sami Watkins is, besides Tyree Kill, is their full-time receiver. I know they rotate in 2 or 3 other guys that are really good receivers, but Sami Watkins, when he's healthy, is one of the better, more talented receivers in the league. And we're looking at a guy who's going to be playing full-time in a great matchup against the Atlanta Falcons secondary. And you can get him at $5,400 on FanDuel and $5,000 on DraftKings, both great prices. Last week against New Orleans, a pretty tough matchup. He gets targeted 6 times, just catches 4 catches for 60 yards in a really tough matchup. But in this really elite level matchup here, he should be able to just get open a lot more and see a lot more targets and hopefully actually finally get a touchdown, as he hasn't had that many touchdowns this year. So I think Sami Watkins is due for some big plays and multiple targets in this game against Atlanta. And it's a way you can stack that game and get cheap exposure to the Kansas City offense, because not everyone's going to be able to just pay up for Tyree Kill and Mahomes and Kelsey and those guys. They're very expensive for good reason. But Sami Watkins is a guy that could have similar type performances at a cheap price, and that's the type of thing you need to be able to take down some tournaments. So I like Sami Watkins this week.
Yeah, well said. I like him as well here because he's had some end zone targets recently, just hasn't worked out. And, it's almost like it's just too easy for Tyree Kill to smash him here. And, they might just sort of get bored and Mahomes wants to spread it around. And all of a sudden Watkins sneaks in there and easily pays off that price tag. So I'm with you there. Last one for me here, in terms of the wide receivers, are the guys for Houston. I think Brandon Cooks and Kiki QT are both in play against Cincinnati. QT is a little bit cheaper on DraftKings. He's only 5,400, and we may need those savings for because of some of these other guys we want to pay up for. So I really like how he's picked it up here, especially on DraftKings PPR. I think he can manage to have a strong game, sort of like Deontay Johnson did last week against Cincinnati. So QT is in the mix for me. Shane, before we get to the tight ends here, let's reveal that offer. If you haven't heard it yet, it's the best offer we've ever had. Combines your love of DFS with sports betting. Check this out.
Listen up, sports bettors. It's go time, so put down the beer and make every sporting event more exciting by putting stakes on the line. Earn bragging rights over friends as you rake in the cash from each week's betting action, but don't settle for any other book. Choose America's favorite sportsbook with over 25 trusted years in the industry. You need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity, and most importantly, a sportsbook that pays. BetUS has your game with action on football, baseball, and basketball, MMA, golf, horses, and even esports. No other sportsbook welcomes newcomers like BetUS with their jaw-dropping sign-up bonuses. Now we have the best book in the industry teamed up with the best DFS provider in the industry. Make your first deposit of $149 at betus.com.pa with promo code CoachTalk and receive a free membership with DFS Coach Talk with full access to our DFS lineups in NBA, NFL, PGA, and MLB, the best in the biz. Sign up today to make straight bets, future bets, prop bets, entertainment bets, live bets, and more. No other sportsbook in the industry is committed to their users like BetUS. So sign up now and get on the winning side of the ball.
Welcome back, and thank you so much to BetUS. This is like the holiday gift here that they're giving everyone out there. And why is it that you want to take advantage of it? Well, it's here in December. I don't think it'll be here anymore in January. It's a promotion for the month of December. And the amazing value is you get to use that $149 at BetUS. And then you also get a full membership with us all the way until April 1st. And what is membership? Well, we don't just do articles and podcasts. We actually give out full lineups on FanDuel, cash lineup and a GPP lineup for every slate. And we also give out a full DraftKings coaches clipboard that has core plays highlighted and then other options for you to pivot and fill out your lineup. So we do that for football every slate, NBA every slate, MLB, PGA. So all access package for that $149. Make sure to use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, and jump in with this the rest of the group to take advantage of this offer. So we're pumped about it. Thank you again to BetUS. Shane, we're also pumped about these tight ends because they are the key here as we fill out the rest of our roster. So where are you looking this week? Are you going to pay up or is it time to save a little bit of money here?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get up to Kelsey this week as Atlanta has been pretty decent against tight ends, and even though Kelsey can get him, I'm just not wanting to pay that much for this position. I know that he's been a huge differentiator, but if I'm going to pay up, I'm going to take a look at Mark Andrews. I think, Baltimore has a lot to play for as well if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. And Mark Andrews has been clicking lately with Lamar Jackson, who's finally looking like himself as a passer, and a runner here. So, yeah, he's getting consistent targets every week. He got a touchdown, 5 for 66 yards and a touchdown last week. So I think it's one of those games where Mark Andrews can get 1 or 2 touchdowns and get, 60 to 80 receiving yards. The matchup isn't great. The Giants have been decent against the tight end, but I think Mark Andrews is definitely a focal point of this offense and can still get a lot of production here. And when he's healthy, he's one of the best, athletic tight ends, biggest playmakers in the game. So I definitely like Mark Andrews here for the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. First guy I'm going to mention is another focal point of the offense. He's been becoming more and more in that role, and that is Logan Thomas for Washington. How about last week, Shane? 13 catches for 101. So yeah. I don't really care what quarterback is under center, who they're playing. I mean, they're playing Carolina. It's the 11th best matchup for tight ends. So positive matchup. They just don't have much else. So I'll ride that volume, and he's only 4,900 on DraftKings. So I feel pretty good about Thomas again this week.
Yeah, every time you doubt the guy, he goes out there and just completely lights it up. And yeah, who'd have thought he would have been one of the top tight ends all year? It's crazy, but yeah, he's awesome. He's really learning the position well. Here's another guy that's young, that's really coming into his own. That's also a really good athlete, and that's who we like the tight end. At the tight end position, we really like these big athletes that are playmakers, and that's Noah Fant. talk about a lot of targets for a tight end, getting 11 targets against Buffalo last week, and he looked great, in terms of his route running and run after the catch ability. And of course, we know he's got size and speed. He's quite the specimen there. But he goes 8 for 68 in the touchdown last week, and now he's got the Chargers, who are one of the worst teams against the tight end, going into LA. The Chargers, this could be a sneaky shootout game. So I like Noah Fant. I think he's reasonably priced. He's a little more expensive on FanDuel, but I think he's worth it. 6,200, and DraftKings 4,800 is not bad at all. So if you're trying to get a little bit different there on some of these other chalky guys, Noah Fant is looking like in a great spot. Drew Lock really loves him. And a guy that this type of athleticism and upside that's getting those type of targets that's finally healthy, he's in a really good spot this week. So I think you can fire up Noah Fant at tight end.
Okay. Next for me is the group for the Rams. Higbee and Everett going against Seattle. And this is the challenge here is the fact that the Rams have 2 capable tight ends that are part of the offense. So if you pick one of them, you're in a bit of a risk here. But Higbee, another strong week last week, 67 yards and a touchdown against the Jets. And when these two teams played earlier, he had 3 catches for 60. So like most tight ends, if you pay down here at one of these guys who's around 4,000, you need him to get in the end zone to really pay off. So that's a bit of a coin flip. But again, going up against Seattle, you look at what Logan Thomas did, the guy we just talked about, 13 catches for 101. So it can certainly be done. And we know that the Rams love short passes. They love to involve these tight ends. So Higbee for me at 4,000 is worth a look.
Awesome. And I'm going to go to Dallas Goddard. He's at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys have been decent against the tight end position, kind of middle of the pack. And Dallas Goddard had a disappointing game earlier in the year, only targeted once though, and that was again with Carson Wentz, who wasn't looking good. Now that we got Jalen Hurts in there, this offense is cooking, and Dallas Goddard is a big target. He's basically like a big receiver out there, and he's physical as well. And you've really seen an uptick in his targets the last few weeks. He had 8 targets last week. Now, he didn't end up getting there because he only had 4 for 39, so a disappointing performance. But really, he's really only one big play away of getting there with this type of production. So if we can pencil him in for somewhere around 8 targets, I'll take Dallas Goddard against the Dallas Cowboys here. And he's a big playmaker. He's mid-price, kind of 5,700 on FanDuel, and DraftKings at 3,600 with his upside, I think stands out. I know he hasn't done a ton lately, but when he did face that Seattle group there, he had 7 for 75 and a touchdown towards the end of November there. So he is capable of big games here, and I think his upside is much better with Jalen Hurts, as this team is just going to be scoring and moving the ball more and targeting these mismatches more. So Dallas Goddard's in play this week.
Okay. One more guy for me is Austin Hooper, Cleveland going up against the Jets. And Hooper back in the mix last week, 5 catches and a touchdown. And now he gets that matchup where, do you remember a few weeks ago where you picked up that you picked out that tight end to play and he had 13 catches for 200 yards and 2 scores? Waller. That was Waller against the Jets. Remember that?
Yeah, he was a man among boys that day.
He was. And so now it's Austin Hooper's turn. I like the fact that he's back in rhythm. He got back in the end zone. Like you said on the quarterback show, Mayfield looking comfortable, throwing it a lot more and a lot better recently. So I like Austin Hooper here, only 3,500 on DraftKings.
Awesome. Yeah, and here's a guy, if you want to go down to the value pricing, sometimes the tight end position's rough. You just need to punt the position here. So here's a guy that's set up for a nice outlook in the punt position here for tight end, and that's Jordan Akins. He's got that great matchup. Cincinnati, one of the worst teams in coverage. Their linebackers and safeties not good against tight ends. You can definitely exploit them there. It doesn't hurt. He has one of the best quarterbacks in the league there, Sean Watson throwing to him. They're really depleted in terms of wide receivers. Their wide receivers have been injured and suspended. So Jordan Akins is a primary target now. He got 6 targets last week against a pretty tough Indianapolis team, and he goes 5 for 50 yards. So he's a big, explosive playmaker. I know he's had a lot of targets in the red zone. It's been well documented that he's dropped touchdowns, lately. But eventually he's going to catch one of those touchdowns, and I think it's this week against Cincinnati. So Jordan Akins, look at his price here, $5,100 on FanDuel, which is a great low-value price, especially if he gets a touchdown, and $3,300 on DraftKings allows you to do a lot of things with your lineup and pay up elsewhere. So that's why I do like the idea of paying down at the tight end position, and Jordan Akins, I think, offers decent upside at that price and a great matchup here in a good position for the Texans here. So I like Jordan Akins this week.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right. Well, that wraps up the tight end group for us. Again, 2 ways to join us as members to get those full lineups. Go through BetUS. Details on the bottom here on YouTube. Use that promo code Coach Talk. Or if you're not into the sports betting, you can still get the same offer at our website, dfscoachtalk.com. Same membership all the way until April 1st with all of our sports. Or if you want to just try us out for a shorter time, get us for a week or a month, also on our website. So we'd love to have you. Any questions, find us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. You can find Shane at DET Sports Shane. You can also see the Detroit memorabilia there in the background. So, that's it. That's his spot. You can find me on Twitter at Language Olympic, and the coach is available at JOESARVADI. He's currently grinding with some basketball lineups for the Christmas Day slate. So that's the crew here on the podcast side. And then on YouTube, hit the alarm button so you know when our other podcasts post. We've already got the quarterback show out, and we also have a running backs podcast up to get you ready for the main slate. So that'll do it for this one. On behalf of Shane Caldwell and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I am Andrew Hansen, and we'll see you on the next podcast as we look to crush it in DFS.